Fraud is not new to Jamaica. Many have been burnt by the Ponzi schemes, motor vehicle theft, identity theft, and now perhaps the most pernicious of them all, the Lotto scam, which could cause irreparable harm to Jamaica's name. We are all at risk. Your Wealth is next.
Your Wealth is brought to you by
Advantage General, the name you should know. We're not in the car business, but if you drive, you ought to know our name. We're not in the construction business, but if you own a home, you ought to know about us. We're definitely not in the medical field, but if you've been in an accident, you'll be glad that we're on your team. We are Jamaica's leading motor, home and contents insurer. Advantage General, the name you should know.
Financial scams, the proliferation of fraud and money laundering could propel Jamaica into rogue state status, making life tougher for the average Jamaican. Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, Justin Felice, identifies greed as a factor that trapped many Jamaicans and opines that scams and money laundering could place legitimate businesses at risk. Felice was one of the main speakers at the Financial Services Commission's November 7 public forum on financial scams, fraud and money laundering.
Could money laundering, financial scams and fraud be putting you or your business at risk? I think that's what I've been asked to come and speak about. Let me explain why I asked that question. We all know there's a current global recession, and it's creating a visible increase in fraud. Economic uncertainty across our workforce has caused uncertainty in the ability to maintain lifestyles. We all know how difficult things are. The cash and credit crunch has had a major impact on the way people are having to reconsider their spending abilities. And if you look at Barack Obama, the congratulating him for his result last night, unfortunately in January, I was listening last night on the news, the tax that he's going to be imposing in January on the people of America is phenomenal, that is coming round the corner in January. There's euphoria, there's celebration today and last night. There will be tears and there will be blood on the carpet in January when he tries to impose his financial constraints and to raise revenue to cut the trillions and trillions of dollar debt that America is facing. And what does that bring with it? It brings back the threat of financial crime to individuals. Inflation is increasing. Earnings are stagnant. Fraudulent dealings and actions are becoming an attractive alternative to enhance people's lives. The disaffected youth, the criminals, are looking at easy ways to make money. The lottery scam is one of those. They like the fancy cars, they like the houses, they like the flash lifestyle, and they do it from making telephone calls. They don't get their hands dirty. They like it. I was reading an article the other day. There's a campaign in one country, I'm not going to tell you, but they had a public response line asking for information from the public, helping in fight financial crime. And the strap line was, "Too much bling, give us a ring." And I thought, in Jamaica that might not quite work. You might have a very busy call centre.
Felice didn't mince words about some businesses which he thought were fleecing customers.
Some of these so-called businesses advertise on television, in local newspapers, national newspapers, offering both a great customer service and a great price for your old gold. But you will find out that once you've received your payment, you realise that these companies provide neither. Be careful joining partner schemes that are not backed by the banks or building societies. Don't be tempted, listen, don't be tempted to join any scheme that isn't supported by the Financial Services Commission.
The Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, Justin Felice, is recommending the closure of what he views as loopholes in certain professions which could facilitate money laundering.
We talked about regulating the financial industry. At the moment it tends to be the financial institutions who are regulated. But there's other institutions in the Act that needs to be regulated. We need to start regulating lawyers, accountants, real estate, dealers in precious metals, and I'd like to throw casinos. I want to put another one in there, car dealers. Is it right that somebody should be able to go and buy a high-end vehicle for 15, 20 million, whatever they are, with cash? Is it right? Do you wander around with a suitcase full of money, 20 million? It's not normal behaviour. So why is it then that people can wander around and buy a house with cash in Jamaica and buy real estate in Jamaica with cash? We don't deal, normal people don't deal in those large amounts. We've got to shut the door and we've got to say no to cash for large amounts like that. I'm not saying no cash, obviously that wouldn't work. But what I'm saying is you shouldn't be able to go and buy a multi-million-dollar house with cash. You shouldn't be able to get your lawyer, pay your lawyer to go and buy a house on your behalf with cash. If it's suspicious, those people should have to report those transactions to the authority, the Financial Investigations Division. So we need to look at closing some of those doors.
Senior Superintendent Fitz Bailey of the Jamaica Constabulary Force alluded to one major and suspicious cash transaction.
I have a difficulty when a business can collect 60 million US dollars in cash for a transaction. I think any reasonable person must be suspicious of any such transaction. Walk into a company and pay. Justin spoke to the fact that we need non-financial institutions to also come under the regime of poker, where they are required to report suspicious transaction and threshold reporting as well. We work very closely and we commit ourselves that we are going to ensure that the facilitators and those who are involved in money laundering and financial crime, we are going to ensure that the proceeds are taken. We're going to ensure that people will be fearful of engaging in any transaction that is considered to be suspicious or any transaction that is not above board. Because if we can take the profit out of crime, it will do well for the entire Jamaica.
Justin Felice says identity theft is a real scourge in Jamaica and warns everyone to keep personal information in a safe place.
Personal information. Talked about it before. You need to keep those safe and secure. People's wallets hanging out of the back pocket. Ladies' handbags on the floor, open with your purse on the top. You need to report suspicious transactions immediately. Anything on your account that you're not sure about, you need to report it straight away. We need to tighten up on the audit trails at the bank. We need to look at improving our anti-money laundering and funding of terrorism standards and make sure that we've got the right policies and processes in place. You must never, ever, ever give out your financial or personal information about yourself to anybody via email, telephone, or any other method of communication when you don't know who you're dealing with. There isn't a bank anywhere in the world who will ask you for your passwords on the email. They're not going to do that. And if somebody rings you up saying, I'm from the bank down the road, whichever one, I was going to say a bank then, I thought, no, I better not do that. But if somebody rings you up, no, you don't give your private details over the phone. You don't give them via email. If you are in doubt, you go to the bank and check out what's going on. On your emails, don't click onto subscribed links. When somebody sends you an email and you don't know who it's from, about a financial offer or you've won something or whatever, delete it. Delete it. Because when you open it, you actually get a virus then onto your computer. And they may be, once you open it, they may then be accessing your computer for your passwords. This is the 21st century. This is cybercrime.
Excerpts there from the FSC's November 7 seminar on scams, fraud, and money laundering. You have been warned.
Your Wealth is brought to you by
Advantage General, the name you should know.